I believe that your generation will as well face and meet the challenge of expanding democracy. The conditions are good. A society which is governed on the basis of democratic principles is one which will mobilize the energy of its citizens and attract the attention of nations abroad. Nations which do not adopt democratic practices, be they in Eastern Europe or elsewhere, will not compete because they will not tap the potential of their citizens. Young men and women in the Arab world will enjoy an additional special advantage. During the decade ahead, hitherto unimagined sums of money will flow to the petroleum-producing nations of the Arab world as the United States and Europe increase their energy dependence on this region. By the year 2000, the Gulf alone will earn $290 billion a year from its oil exports. Economies of the nations of the Gulf will expand rapidly, and the Gulf will be an exporter of capital. If history is any guide, some of that capital will flow to sister nations in the Arab world to finance their growth and generate employment and production. But Arab capital will not come to Morocco nor to Egypt nor to other nations of the Middle East and the Maghreb if your countries cannot offer an open market for investment. Gifts by one government to another will not assure growth. Such largesse usually promotes consumption. Real growth in production and jobs comes as the result of investment, especially private investment. It is also essential as we face the future that voices not be heeded which call to take this country or others out of the modern age, out of the international marketplace. The laws of economics are iron. Economies will not perform which fail to allow interest rates to arbitrate freely in financial markets, which exclude women from the workplace, which abolish income and consumption taxes, which are the lifeblood of modern state budgets. This country is unique among the nations of the Arab world in the depth of her relations with Europe and America on the one hand and with the Arab world on the other. Morocco knows there is no truth in locking people into a prison of false tradition and isolation from the competition of modern ideas. It is a challenge to your generation to integrate these ideas of the West and the traditions of your society in a manner which is dynamic and productive. And the American school has given you many of the tools to do this. I have a second message, this time for Americans. If I believe young Moroccans face a future of promise if they work hard, I'm equally convinced that young Americans can look forward to a safer and better world if they are prepared to be realistic, continue the sacrifices our country has made for decades, and preserve and expand freedom. Americans have much on their minds these days. Our industrial base is aged and needs modernization. Our educational system cries out for a new commitment to excellence. Our environment demands protection. The less fortunate in our society need care and opportunity. Our health system must be overhauled and made financially sound. Above all, Americans have got to get to work and rebuild their economy, one which will live by its productivity, an economy which knows how to compete in a world marketplace. As awesome and demanding as these challenges are, they must not blind Americans to our responsibilities towards the world, responsibilities which spring from solid self-interest. Over the past 50 years, Americans have gone to war more times than I would like to remember to defend our country and to fight for freedom. We have spent billions to maintain the peace. We have poured treasure forth to strengthen our alliances, develop the economies of our friends, and resist the tides of totalitarianism. The threats we faced made us citizens of an interdependent world. The perseverance of Americans and the steadiness of our friends and allies paid off. The changes in Europe and the Soviet Union over the past year are the reward for our effort. But the enemies of freedom are many and they are not far away. They come not only from totalitarian systems, they are rooted in poverty, despair, and strife. 1989 and 1990 saw an end to the communist world. It did not bring with it an end to adversity and violence across much of this world's surface. The Sahara remains an object of violence. World peace and American interest are threatened by the unresolved Arab-Israeli dispute, Iraq and Iran's legacy of war, conflict on the Horn of Africa, civil war in Lebanon, and Afghanistan's lingering struggle. In fact, to make matters worse, we now face the awesome prospect of proliferating weapons of mass destruction. Certain as we stand here in this time of freedom's renaissance, we will be faced with fresh threats to ourselves if we, as Americans, do not attend to the world's needs. Its needs are our needs. They will not be met if we slash our defenses, chop our assistance budgets into ever smaller pieces, shrink our diplomatic missions, fail to deal with the developing world's debt crisis, and maintain trade barriers which impede our growth, just as they deny opportunity to developing economies. We must, in short, maintain our alliances, continue our assistance programs, exercise vigorous diplomacy in the pursuit of peace, and fight for open marketplaces, free ideas, and human rights. Americans like those present today who have had the privilege of living abroad understand these essential truths better than most of our fellow countrymen. I count on you to carry the message that America's best interests, indeed her very survival, depend on our continued involvement in the world's affairs, involvement which must be measured in terms of understanding of other nations' cultures and politics, an instinct to fight for what we believe, a willingness to sacrifice and share our wealth, and a readiness to build a common future of peace and prosperity. 1989 and 1990 must not for Americans be a repetition of 1918, when we called our troops home and walked away from our responsibility to international peace, security, and welfare. 1989 and 1990 must be like the 1940s, when we as Americans committed ourselves to a United Nations, collective security agreements, and undertook to share our prosperity with our friends worldwide. We have accomplished much, but we need to have the vision to carry on. Our prosperity and security will be greater for it. To you young Moroccans and young Americans today, I extend my best wishes as you leave this school and enter into an exciting age. To the headmaster, my old friend, the administration and faculty of the American School of Tangier, I extend my thanks and equally warm wishes for your continued success in building bridges between the United States and nations of this part of the world, and in producing young men and women who have mastered diversity and whose knowledge and discipline will equip them to build for peace and prosperity. وآخرا أوجه لكم أيها الشباب أطيب الأمنيات وأنتم تتركون هذه المدرسة لتدخلوا عصرا مثيرا عملا مليئا بالعمل الجاد والتقدم، ومتمنيا لكم مستقبلا رائعا في حياتكم. وأتمنى أيضا لهذا البلد العظيم كل تقدم وازدهار في ظل جلالة الملك الحسن الثاني الذي يعمل دائما من أجل خير البلاد وتقدمها. كما أوجه شكري أيضا للسيد مدير المدرسة والإداريين لهيئة التدريس بالمدرسة بجهدهم المستمر في بناء الجسور بين الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية والمملكة المغربية. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Graduating seniors will now come forward to receive their diplomas. Ahmed Abdurrasa. The next graduate is the fifth child of Patricia and Abdul Carter, to whom I've given a diploma. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Patricia for her loyalty. When I turned 40 a few years ago, I took quite seriously the cliche that life begins at 40. Carved out a unique character. I believe we are different from other schools and that we take pride in that difference. I believe that we are somewhat old-fashioned in comparison with what has happened to American education in the past 30 years. And I believe that our insistence on traditional basics is the only way that sound education can be achieved. I know, too, that the school's character has been determined by this dramatic and splendid city of Tangier, this magnificent and magical kingdom of Morocco, where tolerance and the interplay of various nationalities produces a deep respect for individuality. To me, individuality and independence are two of the most cherished American values. And so as we go into the future in 1990, we do so with a more I want to thank the faculty, particularly those who have played such a responsible part in our celebration of our birthday, namely Audrey Rippey in the elementary school, Nevin and Elizabeth Zagolovich, George Staples, and Spain Beret. I very much want to thank the administration for bearing with me with patience and sympathy. I want to thank the Board of Trustees for their support and understanding. And on a personal note, I would like to remember my mother, who would be so proud that our family journeyed from Alabama to assist in the celebrations of the school she came to love so well. To the graduates, I hope that you will remember the American School of Tangier as an exciting commencement to your life, and that as other graduates here today, you will return in the future and meet with us again, successful in your life, wherever you may take you. Good luck, and Godspeed.
بزاف كيفاش يصور مزيان
We used to come to John Smith and my children.
Your two beautiful daughters. Where are they? Oh, we did. We hope next year we'll have. Is this film? I just want to see what they close. I want to see what they close. يشوفها نفتحها يشوف شو ما عرفت كان عملوا I'm fine. أنا أنا شفت الأولاد من الأرض
سبتها مع فؤاد فقدم ضل.
أيوه إذا هنا يعني يسلم عليك. أوه شفتي والله يعني نهار جميل. Hi, you're wonderful. Congratulations. That was really a super day. أنا أبوها. أيوه. اسمك إيه؟ اسمك إيه؟ Your mother is very proud of you. So we all are. We all are. Congratulations. تعالوا هنا. لا 28.